at some other headlines from around the world. The presidents of France and Ukraine have signed a security pact in Paris that guarantees Kiev an aid package worth more than $3 billion this year. The agreement was announced during a visit by Volodymyr Zelensky to Paris. It follows a similar pact announced by Germany and a promise by G7 countries last year to set up such arrangements with Ukraine to help boost its long-term security. Senegal's president, Macky Sall, has said he will hold a presidential vote as soon as possible. The announcement comes after a week of violent protests against a bill that would have delayed February's elections until December. On Thursday, Senegal's constitutional court ruled against the delay. At least 3 people have died in recent demonstrations. 2 juveniles have been charged in connection to Wednesday's shootings at the Super Bowl celebration in Kansas City, Missouri. 1 person died and more than 24 others were injured when shots were fired during the Chiefs' victory parade. Police say several weapons have been recovered. The incident began as a dispute among several people outside the city's main train station. Now to South America, where Argentina's president has defended his huge public spending cuts after annual inflation in the country reached more than 250% this week. That is the highest in the world. Now, Javier Milei says he is slashing the state. It's needed to tackle inflation in the long term.
International outrage follows the announcement that the Russian opposition leader, Alexei Navalny, has died.
His supporters gather in Russia to pay tribute, while Western leaders warn Vladimir Putin he will face the consequences.
Putin is responsible for Navalny's death. Putin is responsible.
Donald Trump is ordered to pay nearly £300 million by a New York judge in a fraud case relating to his business empire.
You might remember this. We showed you earlier this week the launch of a US rocket. This is a joint NASA mission to the moon, and now Japan's space agency is hoping to do the same.
Main engine start.
Well, these things take a long time to plan, and there have been years of delays. There have been 2 failed attempts, but this is the moment everyone was working towards. The H3 successfully blasted off from its launch pad just after midnight in the UK. It's the country's flagship rocket and could be used in the future to deliver cargo to the moon.
It's an extraordinary thing as you look at those images to think of those 2 rockets both heading to the same place. It's such an odd thought, isn't it? After so long where there's been so little activity in relation to the moon, and now suddenly there's this impetus. I'm not sure, is it 2030 that they're talking about potentially having a human being on the moon again, which of course is the thing that it captures the imagination, even if it's not the most important scientific moment.
But the scientific industry is just so excited about it, isn't it, with all these developments.